pleasant morning to all of our dearest participants from different schools and universities, to our classmates and professors. Thank you for taking your time to be with us in today's webinar with the theme Career Path for Fresh Graduates, How to Make Oneself Market Ready in the New Normal. I am Renalyn Prieto, together with my partner Miss Jomela Gakayan.
Once again, good morning to our viewers, participants, and to my partner also, Ms. Renalyn. Welcome! I am Jomela Gakayan, and we are your hosts for today's webinar. We are very happy that we have all of you guys joining in our today's webinar event. Are you guys all excited about learning and gaining insights from our resource speaker? Please comment in the chat box below here in Zoom. And of course, for those who will not be accommodated inside our Zoom, don't worry! We are now streaming via Facebook Live on our PUP iTech Facebook page. So you can still watch and participate in our webinar. Just comment down below for us to see if you all guys are excited. Just comment or type yes na yes.
To formally begin this event, let us invoke the presence of the Lord in the doxology, followed by the Philippine National Anthem.
So many sounds and so many voices thundering in my ears, calling me to stray through the prophet's words. I can't judge their meaning, I can't know the truth and safely find the way. So many things fill my mind with questions, leaving me confused, wondering where to go. To the scriptures page, I can't turn for answers, I can't find the power and learn what I must know. Through the Spirit's whisperings, in the prophet's voice, in the words of scripture, I can safely make my choice. I'll trust in the Lord with all my heart. I will not lean upon my own understanding. In all my ways I'll acknowledge Him, and He will direct all my path. The Spirit's peace is a gentle whisper in the dark of night, in the light of day. It will give me hope, it will lift my spirit when I hear its voice and let my heart obey. Through the Spirit's whisperings, in the prophet's voice, in the words of scripture, I can safely make my choice. I'll trust in the Lord with all my heart, and I'll not lean upon my own understanding. In all my ways
Once again, good morning. Thank you for joining us in today's webinar. In behalf of PUP Institute of Technology, we would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you. To our branch director, Dr. Rufo N. Buesa, and Dr. Lourdes V. Avila, our Head of Office of Student Affairs and Services. To my classmates, professors, and of course, to our dearest participants from different schools and universities. Let us all welcome the students from the different branches of PUP Lopez, Mulanay, Ragay, Unisan, and Santa Mesa. Thank you so much, our fellow scholar ng bayan, for joining us today. We would also want to express our deepest gratitude from the students that came from Asian Institute of Computer Studies, from the different branches of De La Salle University of Lipa and Osamis, from Urdaneta City, Laguna University, Capiz State University, Biliran Province State University, Binalatongan Community College, Taguig City University, Parañaque City College, Mindanao State University, Iligan Institute of Technology, Baliwag Polytechnic College, Holy Angel University, Pateros Technological College, Quezon City University, Iligan Capital College, Cotabato State University, Western Mindanao State University, Colegio de Dagupan, Aklan State University, University of the Cordilleras, St. Mary's University, Negros Oriental State University, Gihulngan Campus, Holy Cross of Davao College, Capiz State University, Pontevedra Campus, Central Bicol State University of Agriculture, and all other schools and universities not mentioned. We are very overwhelmed that you all guys have spared your precious time just to be with us today. We are indeed very blessed because despite the pandemic, there are still people with good hearts, such as our source speaker for today, that is willing to share her expertise and insights with us, who will be introduced later by our event consultant and internship coordinator, Mr. Dave Marcaida. Okay, we hope that all of you guys who join in today's event will learn a lot of knowledge and that will be helpful for us in preparing ourselves after graduating to be market ready in the new normal. Thank you and mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Some event consultant and internship coordinator, Mr. Dave Marcaida, to introduce our resource speaker for today's webinar.
A pleasant morning, everyone. We are happy to know how this webinar has reached wonderful audiences representing different regions in the Philippines. The new normal has been beneficial to all of us in the academe in terms of training and conferences because there are wonderful people who are experts in their field and they are willing to share their time and expertise as part of their service. It is my privilege to introduce to you our resource speaker, which I am sure you will be fascinated to know about her lofty accomplishments. She is a woman with compassion, where she delights in contributing to the growth of other people that surrounds her. Allow me to introduce her more fully. She is an alumna of De La Salle University, graduated cum laude with a bachelor's degree in psychology, and has recently finished her master's in industrial organizational psychology. She has been an HR practitioner for over 7 years and an educator for more than 6 years. Currently, she is the HR manager of Macan World Group Philippines, where she handles various facets of HR, including recruitment, organization development, employee engagement, labor relations, training, and performance management. Apart from her HR practice, She is also teaching a course in integrated personal effectiveness in the LSU while managing her own baking business, Yellow Baker Bug. Since she enjoys sharing insights about her life, career, business, and HR, she was recognized as one of the top 100 Filipinos to follow on LinkedIn in 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Miss Nicole Kyoge Gulyoso. Let's give her some heart or virtual clap icons to welcome her. Thank you.
Good morning. Can you guys hear me properly? Sorry, I can't see if
Yes po.
my internet becomes wonky later on. I'm currently living by the island. I'm currently in Siargao. So,
Wow.
and I know all of you guys are from different parts of the Philippines. So it's getting me really excited to be part of this event. Hopefully, you'd be able to pick up a thing or two in everything that I'm going to say. Let me share my screen if that's okay. Would it be okay if I share my
Yes,
slides?
ma'am. Ma'am Nicole, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Let me know if you can see my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, ma'am. It's very clear.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
perfect. All right. Okay. So, first of all, again, thank you very much for inviting me in this event. I know that we're all, challenged by the current situation, but it's so good that you're creating this platform for students from different parts of the country to learn and prepare for the field of work. So again, I guess like what was introduced earlier, um, again, my name is Nicole Gulyoso. I'm a through and through Lasallian. I graduated in the LSU for both my bachelor's degree and my master's degree. And yes, currently I'm the HR manager of Macan. For those of you who are not familiar with who Macan is an advertising agency. If you are familiar with the kwentong Jollibee, yung mga nagpaiyak sa inyo na mga commercial, that's what we do. Yung mga biogesic ingat or the Coca-Cola beat game. Hindi ko alam kung naabutan niyo pa yon kasi mga bata pa kayo. But yeah, we do commercials from TV, radio, etc. So I do handle that. And yeah, last year I also put up my own baking business. Well, it's temporarily closed now because I'm in Siargao. But it's something that I guess I one of the accomplishments that I've had during the pandemic. Okay, so maybe to start off, no, 'di ba nung mga bata kayo, there's this one question that's often asked sa inyo um, ng mga matatanda, 'di ba? Everyone would ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And lahat tayo may iba-ibang sagot. Some of you would answer, you want to be a doctor, you want to be an astronaut, a nurse, a lawyer, etc. My students in LaSalle would say, I wanted to be a princess or mga ganyan, di ba? So lahat tayo, meron tayong iba-ibang ginusto nung mga bata tayo. And during that time, all of us were so sure about what we wanted to become. For some reason, we would play around. If you want to be a chef, you would play around this like cooking toys. Or if you want to be a doctor, meron kayong mga pang doctor, mga first aid kit, diba, that you play around. But as you grow old, as you experience life, you discover a lot of things about yourself. You discover a lot of things around you that can change your perspective along the way. Some of you na nandito ngayon, probably ngayong gagraduate na kayo, you're probably asking, ano ba talagang gusto kong gawin sa buhay? Or meron sa inyo, hindi ko alam anong gagawin ko pagka-graduate ko ng college. So hopefully the things that I will be discussing would help you somehow figure out what you want to do and prepare for that as well. Just a backstory, when I was young, my ultimate dream was to become a lawyer. To the point that when I was little, ang laruan ko, my mom like had this toga made para akong nag-judge. I also have this like gavel that I would play around because I really want to be a lawyer, become a judge one day. So for the longest time, doon nakaset yung utak ko. But through the years, I fell in love with the performing arts. I was singing. I would always say that singing was my first love and dancing became my true love. But there was a time na sobrang tutok ko with music that I wanted to be a performer. I wanted to take up the Conservatory of Music for college. But my parents was discouraging it kasi sabi nila, ay walang pera sa music. Hindi lahat nagsasucceed sa music. So my mom would always say, you can always pursue music on the side while pursuing a different course. At some point, sabi ko, sige, maging reporter na lang ako or mag-newscaster na lang ako because I like talking anyway. But, for some reason, I guess life led me again to my original dream, which was to become a lawyer. I took up psychology in college because I wanted to be my pre-law course. I loved, learning about people. I love talking to people, learning about their behavior. So psychology would give me that, while at the same time, it would be a logical pre-law course para naman hindi siya kunyari hindi ka magpo-political science kaagad and all that. So in college, I took up psychology. I had a lot of extracurricular activities. I would be in about 7 organizations, active in all, officer in all. And sabi ko noon, parang, this is my prerequisite to a successful life. You've always dreamt that after college, pagka maganda grades mo, pagka madami kang extracurricular activities, you will have all things figured out after you graduate from college. But it's not necessarily the case. I mean, I guess I was lucky enough that when I graduated from college, I had multiple job offers. But at the same time, nung time na yun, sabi ko, ano ba talagang gusto kong gawin? Will I pursue law school still as I planned? Or will I do something else? My parents said, like, why don't you try getting into the corporate world first for at least the first year before you go into law school, so you can feel how it's like to earn your own money. And I listened. I went into PLDT for my first job, and after within that first year, I was enjoying what I was doing. I was earning my own money. I'm able to travel with my own money, do a lot of things. So parang sabi ko, parang na-enjoy ko na yung maging HR, parang ayoko na mag-law school. So eventually, a year after I graduated and started working, I chose not to pursue law school. And since I also fell in love with HR already, that's when I started pursuing my master's in industrial organization and psychology. So, but even after that, sabi ko, ano ba talaga? Parang, is this what's going to be for me? I guess like in each one of you, it will be a different journey altogether. Meron kayong iba-ibang gustong mangyari, meron kayong iba-ibang gustong ma-experience or may experience. Sorry, can you mute your mic? Sorry. Thank you. But like lahat tayo may iba-ibang journey, but how do you really figure out what path you should be pursuing after you graduate from college? Sorry. So yeah, how do you know what is the right path for you really? Hindi ko masasagot to in just an hour of talking to you. But I guess what I can share with you is the process that you can do to be able to also figure out for yourself ano ba talaga yung kailangan yung gawin. I would always tell my students and even my colleagues that for you to know what is the right path for you, you have to be able to discern on your own. Kasi mas kilala nyo ang sarili nyo. Kayo lang ang makakaalam kung ano yung gusto nyo talagang mangyari. But maybe you can use this as a guide. I don't know if some of you have already read the book of Simon Sinek, Start with a Why. And in that book, he introduced this diagram or this framework. It's called the golden circle. And what Simon Sinek is saying is that what sets apart companies and people, successful companies and successful people from those who are still not that successful is their process of discerning ano talaga yung gusto nilang gawin. He would say that it's easy to identify ano yung mga what natin, ano yung gusto natin gawin, and paano natin gagawin yon. But it's always harder to answer the question why. But you will start with answering your why before you figure out your how and your what. Then your direction in life becomes clearer also. So ano nga ba yung why? Your why is your purpose. Yung meaning mo, ano ba talaga yung pinaka-destination? Ano yung paniniwala mo that you would want to do? He would give Apple. Apple would you know it today as someone or as a company that would provide you with your iPhone or all these gadgets. But why is it that Apple is more successful than its competitors? You would say that because from the very beginning, Apple knew that their purpose is to challenge the status quo and to provide provide easy to use gadgets or technology to people. So dahil ang gusto nila ma-challenge yung status quo and that is their why, their how and their what followed already kung ano ba yung gusto nilang gawin. So now they are providing you with your computers, your cell phones, etc. In my case, how did I use this why? Ako hanggang ngayon, sobrang klaro sa akin kung ano yung gusto ko, ano yung purpose ko sa buhay. It took me a while also to figure it out, but my one-liner and my why, my personal purpose is really to grow people, to help people grow. So how did I do that? My skills. I knew that I'm good with connecting people. I know that I'm good with talking to people. So that was the process. Like I was trying to maximize also my gift. So ano yung ginagawa ko ngayon? This is the reason why I am in the academe and why I am in HR. Because these fields or these industries are what's enabling me to do my purpose, which is to grow people. That's also the reason why I am talking to you now, because like to me, my success indicator in life is when I'm able to help other people succeed. And it can be different for you also. But try to discern, again, it's a long process. Hindi nyo yan makukuha ng overnight. But once you figure out what your why is, what your purpose is, then the steps that you will be taking afterwards becomes becomes clearer. It becomes more directed to you achieving your goals in life. I hope I'm still making sense. So ano nga ba yung mga dapat nyong i-consider, like now I'm segueing it to, from this bigger picture. Now, what are the things that you should consider when figuring out your path? Assuming, you're already in your journey of figuring your why, how, and what. Ano nga ba yung mga pwede niyong i-consider once you try to figure out ano ba yung trabaho or yung gusto niyong gawin once you graduate? So one is you have to consider your skills, competencies, and interests. Saan ba kayo magaling? Where are you good at? What makes you motivated? What would interest you? Kasi 'pag nagtrabaho kayo, minsan, I know you have siyempre yun nga, may iba-iba tayong pinagdadaanan, may iba-iba kayong responsibilidad sa bahay niyo. But if you can, if you're able to choose a job that would enable you to really maximize your strengths, really maximize what you're good at, and at the same time, you're able to do something that you actually like doing, then go for it. But kung hindi, okay lang din naman na hindi, pero I guess 'pag na-enjoy mo yung ginagawa mo, 'pag interesado ka dun, it keeps you going throughout the day. Next is try to answer the following questions. Ano nga ba again, you start with your why. Why do you want to get that job? Or why do you want to open a business? Or why do you want to pursue further studies, for instance, after college? So try to, ano ba talaga? Bakit ko ba to gagawin? Why am I gonna do what I want to do? And what is this for? From there, once you figure out your why, again, then you identify ano ba yung short and long-term goals nyo. And then next, if you will be applying or working for a company, if you plan to work for a company, you also have to ask yourselves, are your values aligned with the companies that you are applying for? A lot of people a lot of people put this on the side. Hindi natin kino-consider madalas when we enter a company or an organization kung align ba yung values natin sa kanila. Sometimes it's always more important for people magkano yung kikitain ko dyan or ano yung position ko dyan. But it's also important to consider how aligned your values are with the companies you're applying for, because your experience as an employee will also be dictated by that. Let me just tell you like a quick story about why values are important. So 2 stories. When I was, I think in my second or third year in the workforce, I was being pirated by this big fast food chain. And I was so excited. I was being offered a managerial position, and I was just 3 years out of college. And at that time, I went through all the interviews. I went through the whole process. But during the interview, sorry, may background noise lang sa I can't hear them. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so yung company na to, so like the recruiter, I guess when she was interviewing me, she got so comfortable and she started sharing with me why she wasn't accepting some candidates. And she went on in saying, may iba magaling naman, but kunyari they're part of the LGBT community, or they're living in with a partner, and yung mga basically they have a non-traditional family setup. And that turned me off, just because I don't know with you, and I'm not sure who among you would agree, but personally, to me, my definition of family is whether you're just with a single mom or a single dad, or you're part of a family who's composed of people from the LGBT community, as long as you love each other, there is relationship, there is connection there, that is a family. So when she was telling me that opinion, sabi niya kasi family-oriented company sila. And again, I disagreed with that, because I am part of the LGBT community, but at the same time, to me, love is love, respect is respect, and since that is not what the idea of family that this recruiter was telling me is not the same as mine. Sabi ko, parang hindi na lang. I would rather give up that position, that job, despite the high pay, despite the prestige that it will give me, if I will just be part of a company that doesn't coincide with my own beliefs. Second story, when Uber was becoming popular here in the Philippines, you'd hear professionals like lawyers, you'd hear doctors who are applying or are working as Uber drivers. There was a time I rode an Uber and then I always talk to the drivers just to get to know them a little bit more. And the driver who I was talking to, apparently I was his very first customer ever. So I was probing, oh, why did you start working for Uber? And he said he just resigned his job and he's doing Uber part-time while he's still figuring out what the next steps would be for him. Because he used to work for a big publishing company and he was actually a vice president already. So a really high position. Sabi ko, oh, why did you leave? Bakit mo iiwan yun? Eh, mataas position mo, mataas sweldo mo. And then the security that that would give you is not the same as what you will probably get from Uber. And he said, because they're making me do things that are against my principles already. They are making me do things that I cannot stomach. And to him, he would rather give up that job than ruin his own integrity. And to me, may respeto ako sa mga taong gano'n mag-isip. Because at the end of the day, wag niyong isusuko yung pagkatao niyo for a company. Wag niyo sisirain kung sino kayo just to be able to sustain something. Because there are a lot of opportunities out there, but who you are should stick. Yung integrity niyo nga as a person, yung mga prinsipyo niyo, wag niyo siyang tatanggalin just because you need to earn money. Think about your values also. So yeah, think about the values of the companies that you will be applying for. And then consider everything that comes with the job and not just the salary. Don't just get the first job offer na ibibigay sa inyo. Kahit mataas yung sweldo niya. Like, try to also figure out ano ba yung kultura dito sa kumpanya na to? Ano yung klase ng mga taong makakatrabaho ko? Is the role, what is the role going to be? How much hours will that take from me? Baka offeran kayo ng more than 50,000 salary but you'll be working almost 24/7. And that can also affect your health, your time for your family, and everything. Even the leadership, you also consider that. So, if you can try to get insights from the people around you, people who are working there, or maybe doing your research online about the company before accepting any job, do that. Consider everything. Kasi pag nakapasok na kayo dyan, minsan mas mahirap umalis, or you don't want din naman na sa resume nyo, pag may nakita kayong mali, you jump from one company to another every time. So, think about, again, discern also yung mga ina-applyan yung trabaho and before you get into it, before you accept any job. So how do you find a job these days? It has been, it has drastically changed over the years. Before, even when you ask your parents, it's so common that you walk into a company, bring a printed copy of your resume, leave it there, and then the HR people will contact you. But now, even prior to the pandemic, the landscape has already started changing, and companies are now utilizing mostly their websites or your job search websites as well. So yung mga companies, they would post postings sa mga own websites nila, even their social media accounts actually. On Facebook, for instance, that would allow companies to post their openings. And you have Caliber, you have Indeed, depending on where you want to work. If say here in the Philippines, LinkedIn, Caliber, and JobStreet are the most common job search websites that are being utilized. But say you want to work abroad, you can also check out Indeed.com. And Jabatical is also a platform that you can check out. But Jabatical, this is if you're more adventurous, if you want to look for jobs in remote countries, remote towns, then try to look into Jabatical. Apart from the websites, apart from these job search platforms, try to utilize also your personal network. I'm not saying that you should be user friendly, but I guess it's important also to be really nice to everyone. Try to network to different types of people. Kahit ito, yung mga ka-org nyo, kahit from different parts of the Philippines yan, you'll never know who among the people you've met before can actually help you get into your dream jobs. There are studies that show that when you are referred by someone who works inside the company or you are referred by an employee to the company, it gives you higher chances of getting into an interview or getting into the first step of the job application process. So bakit ganon? Meron kasing notion na pagka ni-refer ka ng empleyado, kahit papano na pre-screen ka na ng employee. You know, if you're not good, if they think that you're not fit for the role, then they will not refer you. At the same time, pagkapalpak ka, tas ni-refer ka ng empleyado, it can also reflect on them. Bakit mo ni-refer yan, di ba? So, ayaw mo rin masira yung reputation mo. So, that's why, you know, again, that's why it makes it easier, like when you are referred to by an employee, kahit papano, nagkakaroon ka ng VIP treatment. Hindi naman para brasuhin nila na, uy, tanggapin mo na yan, di ba? But it's really just at least getting your foot into the door. And yeah, again, parang try to just talk to people sa mga org events niyo after the pandemic or even the people you meet, say, on LinkedIn, as long as you also try to, kung quality yung mga taong nakakausap niyo. Like, case in point, like the other day, I was drinking with some friends, and then one person just came to us, and we started talking. Apparently, he have openings in and now, like later today, he has, merong matutulong yung mga network nyo or yung mga nakikilala nyong tao. Nahanap din ako ng makan because of a friend. A friend from college just referred me, and ganun din. So, try to also utilize your personal network. Okay, so now from knowing where to look for a job and even knowing how to figure out what you want to do or where you want to go, ano nga ba yung mga job application tips that you guys can also use after you graduate from college? So, sabi ko nga kanina, isa sa, isa sa ways for you to, look for a job are utilizing jobs website. So, if you can, and this has been very useful, a lot of recruiters use it, try to set LinkedIn profile. If you can set up your TikTok accounts, setting up your LinkedIn profile, it could be easy also. Just tips, when you set up your LinkedIn profile, tips that you should consider. Number one is try to choose a professional looking photo. Don't LinkedIn as if your social media accounts such as Facebook, and use a photo that would show how you want to be seen in the workplace. Don't use your graduation picture also as your LinkedIn profile photo. Talk with someone from LinkedIn a couple of months kasi your graduation photo, may notion agad na.
Yes po, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay,
Yes
great.
po, ma'am.
Okay. So, yun. So, as I was saying, so don't use your graduation photo as your LinkedIn profile picture. Kasi like, kunyari, makalimutan yung palitan yan eventually. Sometimes, if you've already had work experience, yung notion pa rin is fresh grad kayo. And it's harder, kahit papano, kahit ayaw natin, meron pa ring first impression on the photo. So, you want to be seen as someone already in the professional world. Pagka you don't shout it out or that I don't have experience yet. So what you will choose in your profile photo is something that's professional looking. Don't use din naman a 2x2 picture or a 1x1 picture. As much as possible, have a professional looking photo that would also show your personality, while at the same time make you be seen as a professional. And then put a headline, one phrase that would describe who you are and why you are on LinkedIn. Like for example, ako, ang nasa headline ko sa LinkedIn, because when people search for people to network with, ang una nilang nakikita is yung headline or yung brief description about you. So my headline on LinkedIn is HR manager, entrepreneur, and educator. And then the top 100 people to follow on LinkedIn. Para lang meron kang marketing tool, meron kang pang-grab ng attention ng tao from the onset. So put a headline. And then also make sure you write an about me section. It doesn't have to be long. Basically, a brief background about your personality, your skills, your aspirations, and goals. Para kang nagsa-storytelling in something brief, but you're also summarizing who you are and what you can do. So that even when people don't get to read the experiences that you will be putting, meron na silang brief idea kung sino kayo. And again, it makes you more marketable. And then put your experiences. When you put your work experiences or even your co-curricular activities, don't just put your title and the organization. Always make sure to put a brief description of your role and the accomplishments that you've done under that role. Because if they don't have a copy of your resume, recruiters will of course look into your LinkedIn. Etong tao ba na to, meron siya nung hinahanap ko. Etong taong to, magagawa ba niya yung trabaho nung taong hinahanap ko. So, at least from your LinkedIn alone, para mo na rin siyang resume. But don't just copy-paste also. Don't make the mistake of just copy-pasting what's on your resume. So, pag LinkedIn, para kang nagso-storytelling. You know, you tell them what you've done. You also show them results. And then network with many professionals, but always be careful with who you connect with. Wag lang kayo, hindi siya again, parang Facebook and Instagram na nagpapadami lang kayo ng friends, nagpapadami lang kayo ng followers. So with LinkedIn, even if you don't have as much followers, even if you don't have as much connections, if these are quality connections, then okay lang yun. Meron pa rin mga may linked that reduce pampering or hooking up. That's why you have to be careful. May mga nagka-catfish din sa LinkedIn. So you have to be careful on who you connect with before you accept LinkedIn connections. Look into their profile. Diba itong profile na to, ano yung mga activities nila, ano yung mga pinopost nila. So you also get to see kung totoong taong kausap niyo, baka poser lang din siya, ganyan. Sorry, pinagpapawisan ako. Hello? Nawala
Yes,
ako? Or
Opo, nawala po.
But okay,
Nawala,
so
ma'am.
going back, ang sinasabi ko, like I was talking about cover letters, I believe. Okay, so not common before for people to write cover letters. Ang tinuturo lang sa inyo, magsulat kayo ng resume. But you know, what sets people apart these days is, again, your professionalism. So if you can write a cover letter when you're applying for a job, match that with your resume, then other candidates. A cover letter doesn't necessarily, ngayon, since you're applying jobs online, it can also be the body of your email when you send your resumes to recruiters. It is my personal pet peeve when applicants would just send in an attachment of their resume without even like a one-liner introduction about themselves. While HR personnel are expected to know that you're sending your resume because you want to apply for a job, you still have to show some respect. You still have to show a certain sense of professionalism na hindi nyo lang parang, ay basta binigay nyo lang. Kailangan, 'di ba? Kailangan meron pa ring first impression yan na mabibigay sa inyo, how you contacted or how you connected with the recruiter. So write a cover letter also. And then wala namang isang format lang. Sorry, maingay. There's no just one format for a cover letter, but you can use this as a guide when writing your cover letter. Include these on the letter. So one, ano ba yung purpose ng letter? You can say you are writing the letter because you're interested in the job that you saw on LinkedIn, for instance. So you also say ano yung position and how did you find out about the position. If you know someone in the company and you found out about the position because of that friend of yours, this is the right time to name drop. So at least the recruiter, pag nabasa niya, pwede niyang tanongin, ay, kakilala. And then, why are you applying for the role? And what do you think qualifies you for the position? So ano ba yung mga experiences mo? Briefly lang, in, again, 2 to 3 sentences. Kung meron kang like siguro maximum 2 to 3 paragraphs in your cover letter, that will be enough. So just briefly tell them about why you think you are fit for the role that you're applying for. What sets you apart from candidates? So again, if you can show them results, I've done this. This is what I've done for my previous company, or this is what I have done in school, then you can also put that. And of course, your contact details. Just make sure that in your cover letter, you write something that's true, something that is factual, and make it concise and personalized. Don't use a cover letter, like one cover, to customize also the content of your cover letter based on the role, based on the company. Because you can also insert there some facts about the company. Kunyari, you're applying for the position because working for this so-and-so company has been a dream of yours, and you believe that your not just your competencies but even your values, where your goals are aligned to that of the company. So things like that. So write a cover letter. Next is, of course, write a professional resume you can find online. It's not a one size fits all, but you also have to look for a resume format that is appropriate for the jobs that you're applying for. Let's say, like, it's okay to have a colorful resume or a graphic resume if you are applying for a role that's related to art or that's related to creatives or graphics. But if, say, you're applying for a highly corporate job, having such a colorful resume will not be that impressive. So for corporate jobs, usually maximum 2 to 3 colors, and mas neutral yung colors na ginagamit nyo. But I guess in whatever format of a resume you'll choose to use, these are some of the parts that you may consider including. course, the heading, your name, address, cell phone number, and email address. For your address, you don't have to put your full address anymore. So you don't need to put the number of your house. You don't need to put your street name. At the very least, just put the city and the country where you are from. Because this will also protect you from like data privacy, like breaches on your privacy. If someone gets a hold of, your resume, an unauthorized person gets a hold of your resume, they can use your personal details for other things. So to protect yourself, don't put your full address anymore. Once you get into the company already, then they will ask for your full details anyway. So at least on your resume, just put your name, your city, and the country where you're from. Put your cell phone number. Don't put a telephone number anymore if you don't use the telephone in your house, and if you cannot be contacted through that telephone anymore. Bukod sa sayang siya sa space sa resume nyo, malilito lang din yung recruiter. What if they call that number and hindi kayo makontak or wala kayo doon? Sayang lang. It's going to be a missed opportunity. So put a number where you can be easily contacted by the recruiter. So your cell phone number, kung laging nasa inyo yung cell phone number, yung cell phone nyo naman, just have one primary cell phone if you can, na lahat doon kayo kukontakin. And then for your email address, please create a professional email address. When we're young, we're so excited about experimenting on names for our email address. I think mine used to be sweetfirenicole_4@yahoo.com, and I don't even know where that came from. Siyempre ayaw mong yun yung ibibigay mo sa recruiter na email address. So try to make a new email address. If you can actually have one email address for all your job applications, so that it doesn't get what do you call it, hindi matabunan dun sa iba yung mga emails, all the better. And then photo, I place it as optional. If the job does not require a photo, then don't put a photo anymore. Like at sa general practice, so na kayo maglagay ng picture. But like say you're applying for a flight attendant position or a modeling position, then maybe having a photo is necessary. But a lot of countries and a lot of companies professional, when say you apply in Canada and the US, when they see a photo on your resume, automatically hindi na nila tinitingnan or binabasa yung resume mo. Because parang yun nga, sa discrimination or parang ano bang binibenta mo, yung magagawa mo or yung sarili mo. So yun, sa photo, no, like I had an applicant before. I was asked by my friend from Vietjet, which is a Vietnamese airline, to do a consultancy work for them since they were hiring FAs here in the Philippines. So anyway, I asked for applicants for an HR assistant for this stint. And I had an applicant who submitted a resume. For half of the page of the resume was a parang pageant photo, like with a crown and sash. And so mas malaki pa yung photo niya dun sa actual work experience niya. And at the same time, I'm not looking for a model, nor am I hiring for a beauty pageant. Can you let her resubmit her resume and let her remove the photo? So again, if you will be using a photo, make sure again that it's appropriate and professional. For your education, put in your year, your school course, and if you have any awards. If you finish college education anymore, if because it's assumed that when you finish college, you have already finished your um, high school degree as well. So, but if like for fresh grads, it's still also okay naman to put in your high school. But like kung like once you get like a year of experience, okay na rin tanggalin yon eventually. And then work experience, put in the year, again, company, position, put a role summary. If we have time later, I'll try to show you what my resume looks like now. And then accomplishments. Dapat mas malaki yung portion on your accomplishments. Make your resume results based, because a lot of people can just copy paste the job description para humaba yung resume nila. But if you will highlight what you've done for school, what you've done in your companies that you work for, then that makes you stand out even better. And then, put in your skills and competencies. If you can get, again, the job description from the companies that you are applying for, at least you can pinpoint what skills or what competencies do you need to highlight on your resume that you have that's aligned to the position. At the end of the day, you need to use a simple, easy to read, and consistent resume format. Make sure that you write information that's factual and necessary. Always double check your grammar and your punctuation. It's not just to be OC or anything, but it's also, again, I would always go back to professionalism. Yung readiness nyo, paano nyo ba sineryoso yung pagsusulat ng resume nyo? So if you need someone a friend, a colleague, your family to read your resume for you, just so they can check if you've missed out anything, do that. Because your preparedness for the job, how serious you are, your attention to detail will also show from how you write your resume. And then utilize action verbs. I can share with your organizers later on a list of action verbs that you can use for your resume. Yan yung mga managed or administered. So there's a whole list that you can use. You may opt not to include your personal background anymore, like your birthday, your hobbies. That's just going to be a waste of space. If you can condense your resume to just a one-pager, a maximum of 2, once you have more experience already, all the better. Don't go over 2. So kung hindi naman necessary yung content, don't put it anymore. Character references, actually, I would suggest that you don't put this anymore on your resume. One, for data privacy, and again, it will consume space. Don't put the contact details of your character references anymore on your resume, because if the company really needs it, then they will ask you to give it to them anyway. You don't need to put available upon request anymore on your resume even, because again, if they need it, they will request it kahit whether or not that statement is on your resume or not. Make sure also that for your character references, you request for permission from the people that you will be putting as a reference, if you can give their contact details. So don't just give it, and give them a heads up na that you will be using them as a character reference para hindi naman sila mabigla pag tinawagan sila. And then research papers, if you're not applying for a research position or a position in the academe, you may opt not to put your thesis or all the research papers that you've done anymore. Again, it will just take up space. Just make sure that whatever is on your resume is necessary or is important for the roles that you will be applying for. And then, from your resumes, of course, prepare and practice for job interviews. During your free time, try to make a list of your strengths, weaknesses, and skills. You can just have a paper, divide it into 3 columns, brainstorm, what do you think are your strengths and weaknesses? And then look at that list And then choose 2 to 3 strengths, weaknesses, and skills. And then lahat ng magiging sagot nyo in job interviews, pwede nyong paikutin dun sa 2 to 3 strengths, weaknesses, and skills that you will identify. The goal of this exercise is really to strengthen how you'll have your image dun sa companies that you're applying for, how you will establish who you are and what you can do for the company. And then, sorry, my typo. Research, that's research about the role, the company, and the interviewer. Research about the role. Prior to going to an interview, try to, again, ask for the job description. If they don't have it, research for descriptions online, ano ba yung ginagawa ng mga tao with this kind of job title. Research, sorry, nag-mute. Sorry, naririnig niyo pa ako? I don't know why it became muted.
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you po.
Yes po, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. So so research about the role of the company. For the company, go into their websites, their social media pages, look into the vision, mission, and values of the company. Again, you can use those vision, mission, and values in your answers for job interview questions. Syempre, when you're applying for the job, you want to make sure that you're also fit for the company's identity. So yeah, research about the company and the interviewer. You don't have to stalk the interviewer. At least try to get to know their name, get to know their position in the interviewer, and then the hiring manager. You'll be interviewed by the HR personnel who interviewed you first. Are there any insights that you can give me about how I should approach or how I should talk to this next interviewer? So just so alam nyo rin how you will act during the interview. When you're a fresh grad, go to as many interviews as you can. HR people will ask you similar questions. So pagka lagi nyo na siyang sinasagot, you become more confident with your answers. From every interview, pwede nyo i-analyze, paano ko ba sinagot tong tanong na to and how can I answer that question better? It's understandable when, pag kinakabahan kayo, minsan nahirapan kayo sagutin yung ibang mga tanong or meron kayong may isip na, ay, sana ito na lang yung sinabi ko. So at least, when you go to different interviews, you get to practice that and then later on, you get to figure out how to answer these questions again better every time. Keep your answers short and concise yet filled with substance. You also have to be conscious of the time. Better if you can think about your answer before saying it. So it's okay to pause during when answering interviews. Pwede niyong sabihin sa interviewer, can you give me a minute to think about my answer so that you can organize your thoughts? Kasi minsan, pagka nagsalita ka na lang nang hindi mo iniisip ano yung sasabihin mo, nagpapaikot-ikot hanggat sa wala ng sense yung sinasabi mo. So, think about your answers and then pay attention and ask relevant questions. When I say ask relevant questions, at the end of every interview, you can ask questions like, what is the culture like in your company? What are you expecting from the ideal candidate that you will be hiring for this role? Or what's the next steps after this? When can I expect an answer from you or a decision from your company? So things like that, when you ask relevant questions, it also makes it more impressive. Kasi pag sinabi mo lang, ay wala akong tanong, minsan, gusto ba talaga, yung kami na mga nag-interview, gusto ba talaga nung candidate yung trabaho na to? Or, is naintindihan kaya niya lahat yung sinabi ko? Or hindi ba siya curious dun sa trabaho? So, try to ask relevant questions so you also know what to expect later on. Ayan, tas if you have time, you know how how slow it can be sometimes to get different documents here in the Philippines. So if you have time, try to get copies of your birth certificate already, get a PIN number. You can do that online. Pag-ibig, SSS, PhilHealth, your NBI, barangay clearance, and then valid IDs, because these will be asked when you start once you start working. No, you these are part of the pre-employment requirement. So you if you can have that ready from the onset, the better. Okay, last couple of things before I conclude this. Maybe some other tips. When once you start working, once you get out into the real world, try to always stay relevant and never get tired of learning. Don't be complacent. Learn whenever, wherever, and forever. You can learn from, your experiences. You can learn from different resources, taking online courses. So try to stay relevant. Hindi porket magaling kayo for one thing now, you'll always be magaling. There's always going to be someone better. So try to make sure that you learn every time, you grow every time, you develop yourself also. Be agile and always keep an open mind. A bad thing nowadays, it's not, because there are different changes. A lot of roles are evolving, so embrace being a jack of all trades. If you can learn tidbits of everything, the better, kasi kung maging obsolete yung trabaho mo ngayon, at least you won't have a hard time adjusting to a new job later on. Have goals and set your priorities, but never close your doors to opportunities. Even if it's outside your comfort zone. Like kunyari, you're taking a course now. Huwag kayong magpakahon lang na afterwards needs to just be aligned to that course. So depende pa rin yan. So try to also keep your doors open. Don't just make the easy choice. Again, like what I mentioned earlier, don't just get the first job offer that will be offered to you. Find a job that will fit your knowledge, your skills, and your values. That a job that will satisfy your needs, and if possible, enable you to achieve your dreams as well. Have grit, be resilient, and always combine passion with perseverance. It's not enough to just love something. When you love something, when you're passionate about something, kahit pag ginugol nyo anong meaning ng passion, it means suffering. So that just means that in everything that you're doing, hindi lahat masaya, hindi lahat maganda. It's not every day that things will go on smoothly, but you also have to be ready if you really want to, if you really have a goal, if you really want to, if you're passionate about something, you have to be ready to face everything that comes with it, kahit yung mga mahihirap na bagay. And don't give up. Like if you fail now, just stand up again, move forward. I would always say that only those who give up fail. Kung hindi nag-work out yung plano nyo ngayon, just find the next big thing. Pagka nag-give up kayo and you stop trying, I think that's the only time that you will fail. But if madapa kayo ngayon and bumangon kayo, then you're never going to be a failure. Expand your network and value every relationship that you make. Always be kind. Huwag naman kayong magpaka-plastic, pero maging mabait kayo sa mga taong nasa paligid niyo, kasi hindi niyo again alam kung sino dyan yung makaka-encounter niyo again in the future. And I guess lastly, I don't know who among you are spiritual, enjoy the journey. You have to trust the process. Huwag kayong matakot magkamali. Kids these days would have a lot of high standards para sa mga sarili nyo. But, making mistakes would be part of life. That's how you learn. That's how you grow. So you have to embrace that. Don't be discouraged also by rejections, failures. There's no such thing as a dead end. It's really is, finding the silver lining in everything, trying to look for opportunities, and not closing your doors, keeping your eyes open to opportunities. So, yeah, madami-dami ka pa kayong pagdadaanan, but you really have to enjoy it. Enjoy your age na ngayon may energy pa kayong lahat. So, iba kayo ng timeline kung kailan kayo magiging successful. But don't pressure yourself to to be the same as everybody. And nila na lalaman ko, I mean, na-figure out ano yung saan sila magiging successful. And that's okay. That doesn't make you a lesser person. It's really, again, the process that makes you who you are. So enjoy that. So last na lang, in all my talks, I always share this. This is my mantra since I was in college. Whenever I'm feeling down, when I don't feel like I'm not doing enough, when I feel like I'm a failure, I would always repeat this to myself every day. It goes, every day and every way, I will get better and better. Inuulit-ulit ko yan sa sarili ko, and sana kayo din, ulit-ulitin nyo yan sa sarili nyo. It's just a reminder that your effort, mga maliliit na bagay na pinagdadaanan nyo or yeah, if I will be entertaining questions after this, but if you do want to get in touch with me, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, on Instagram, through my email. Yeah, I'd be happy to help you guys if whenever I could. I'll try to answer your questions. Thank you.
So,
Yeah,
thank
I
you so
think
much,
that's
Ma'am
it for
Nicole,
me.
for the very informative discussion you have shared with us this morning. I am sure na lahat po ng participants, including me as a host, ay maraming natutunan. Thank you so much po.
So now,
Thank you. I'm sorry. Before pala I entertain questions, I promise you that if we have time, it's just 10:30 anyway. Hello? Hello? Sorry.
Ma'am,
Papakita ko lang yung resume ko ngayon. If that's okay, we still have
yes, ma'am.
time.
Yes, po.
I'll share my screen just so guys can get insights also from this. Can you see the screen?
Loading, ma'am.
You guys can see.
Yeah, we can see it now, ma'am.
Okay, great. So this is what my resume looks like now. So I like similar to LinkedIn, I have my header here. You have a heading, Human Resources Manager, Education and Entrepreneur. And then my contact details. Now you can already put your LinkedIn profile also on your resume. And then because what the image that I want to portray whenever I send my resume is that I am an HR professional. So on my resume, that is what I'm highlighting already. So there's an HR, my HR qualifications, a summary HR that I am an expert on. So you have that there. And then sa professional experience, and this you can use. So you have your title and the duration of your employment. Under that, there is a 1 to 2 liner description of the company that I am working for. The reason for this is that you have to assume that not everyone who would be reading your resume knows the company or the school that you are connected with. So para nararamdaman nila ano ba yung gravity or yung scope ng ginagawa mong trabaho. Kasi pwedeng HR manager ako, for instance, HR manager ako pero mamaya yung kumpanya na hinahandle ko less than 30 people lang. It's not going to be as impressive as saying that you're an HR manager for a global company and that here in the Philippines, you're handling over 150 people. So it makes a difference. So just so they know also ano ba yung industry, ano yung gaano ba kalaki yung kumpanya na pinagtatrabahuhan nyo. And then for the role, instead of putting my full job description, what is being done or what are the full responsibilities of my role, meron lang siyang summary. So I head the whole HR operations of the agency. I serve as the business partner for the top management and our global counterparts. And then I'm accountable for the preparations of budgets. But what the big bulk of my resume is already on results. Ano na ba yung nagawa ko dun sa kumpanya? So these are tangible results that I can tell people, this is what I've done already. So, when you highlight results on your resume, parang that makes it more real. At least meron na silang na ay proven and tested. Ito na yung nagawa niya. So, mas gugustuhin ko siyang kunin kasi may accomplishments na siya eh. Mas magagamit ko yung experiences niya dun sa kumpanya ko. So, I would do that for the same. But since I also have, diba sabi ko nga, ang gusto ko ipakita HR yung profession ko, but I've also had work experiences that are outside of HR. So, nilalagay ko pa rin yun, pero nasa ilalim na lang. There will still be results, but it's not as extensive as what I place dun sa taas that would describe my HR experience. Then yun, may selected achievements na lang, and then education. I've already been in the workforce for about 8 years already. So yung education for me, nasa dulo na lang siya. It's a secondary knowledge already. But in your case, you can still highlight your education and put it at the top of your resume because that's the latest milestone that you've had. That's the latest part of your experience. But for us, for those who are working already, nasa ilalim na lang siya. So, yeah, that's what my resume looks like now. And again, if you can limit it to 2 pages, kung ako nga, I've had 8 years of experience, pero kaya siya in 2 pages. So what more you can just have a 1-pager resume and that's okay. So yun, I hope that helps.
So now participants, ito na ang opportunity na hinihintay natin to ask questions we want upang maliwanagan din tayo. So Ma'am Nicole, we are inviting you po to kindly answer the question in our chat box. Thank you po, Ma'am.
Sure. Let me just see. What are the questions? Okay, possible interview questions. So I think the very common ones, well, one, yung tell me about yourself. Siguro yan yung unang itatanong sa inyo. And a trick on answering the question, tell me about yourself, make it a format na past, present, and future. You can tell them about, you can tell them about your previous experience. Like for example, para lang mas ma-figure out, kunyari, I can tell them, my name is Nicole. I'm currently the HR manager of Macan World Group. Previously, I have worked in PLDT as a career management specialist. I have also been teaching in the LSU for like the past 6-7 years. And now I'm looking for opportunities because I want to grow my career, and I feel like the current position that's open in your company is aligned to my career goals. So pwedeng ganun lang ka-short. So may you talk about your past experience, you talk about your current, and you talk about your future. Bakit kayo nag-a-apply? Ano yung gusto nyong mangyari sa career nyo? So yun, yung about yourself. You can also insert some personal details but not too much. Don't dwell too much on your interest and your hobbies. Tatanungin naman nila sa inyo yun kung relevant. They would also ask you about meron pa rin cliche na what are your strengths and weaknesses. So doon magagamit niya yung sinabi ko kaninang listahan ng 2 to 3 strengths, weaknesses, and skills that you will have. Ano pa ba? They will also ask you what do you know about the company. So that's why researching about the company and the role. They may ask you what is your understanding of the role that you're applying for? What do you think will be your key responsibilities? So doing your research beforehand will really help. Yeah, I think those are some of the most common interview questions. Ano pa ba yung nasa chat box eh? Wala akong makitang iba pang question apart from that. Do you guys have any questions, anything that I was not able to answer yet? Font size for a resume, there's really no defined font size of a resume, but something readable. If you can have 10 at the minimum, kung kaya, and if that can actually fit the content of your resume. So just make sure it's readable and it's not too tiny, and I wouldn't need a magnifying glass to look into it. Although if you submit your resumes online, it's easier to zoom it now, but just so it's readable. Yeah, I think na-answer ko na yung possible interview questions. Anything else that you guys would want to know? Meron pa ba? You guys can also unmute yourselves if you want to ask like a question live. Oh, siguro ano na lang, tips na lang din for now for online interviews, because most interviews these days are being done online. Some tips if you're going into an interview, try to test your connection beforehand. If you can test the link of the interviews that you will get into at least 10 to 15 minutes prior to the call, better. Choose a background that if you can have a wall as your background, just so there are not much distractions. Zoom, Microsoft Teams nowadays would have a blur option also. Kung wala talaga kayong white background or wall as a background, then utilize the blur function. During job interviews, even if it's online, always think of it as the same as when you are doing face-to-face interviews. So think about your body language also. Try to maintain eye contact still, even if you're just talking to the camera. Again, pay attention to details. If you want to have a paper beside you, so you can also take down some notes on the things that the interviewers are telling you about the role, what you're expected to do, then you can do that. Ano pa ba? And just be presentable. Alam ko nasa bahay kayong lahat, but when you are doing online interviews, still look professional. You don't have to be in a coat and a tie, but at least make sure that you look decent, because still first impression matters whether we like it or not. What is your opinion regarding some company who will ask for any work experience as one of their qualifications, knowing that the applicant is still a fresh graduate? Okay, That's a very good question. If you are applying as a fresh graduate, but the role requires a work experience, you can still try. And what yung tactic doon is you highlight your skills that you've done in school that can be applicable to the job. So for example, say communication skills, magagamit mo yon kahit nagtatrabaho ka or nag-aaral ka. So you can always tell them about results, about say in school, you've done presentations where you were able to exemplify your communication skills and you were able to prove that you're a good communicator. So it's not like, even if some companies would tell you na this requires 2 to 3 years of experience, if you can gain knowledge, like kahit mga kumuha rin kayo ng online courses to fill in the gap of you being a fresh grad and someone with experience, and do that. I actually have a student in LaSalle who we hired in Macan last year. She graduated during the pandemic, and when she applied, the position that she was applying for in Macan required a 3-year experience. Before she started applying for the job, she took a lot of online courses and certifications on LinkedIn for like digital marketing and strategy and things like that, to like make her adapt to like the kind of knowledge that is needed by the role. So the people who were interviewing her became so impressed. We hired her, and now she's performing much better than those who we hired with 3 to 4 years of experience. So dun pumapasok yung learning, yung ano, it's madami naman ding skills that it's applicable whether you're working or not, but it's also continuously growing yourself, continuously learning and developing yourself to fill in that gap. What more can we write about in our resume as future fresh graduates with no work experience or other extracurricular activities? Okay, hold on, let me try to I'll show to you again like a sample resume. So I helped out a family friend of ours. He was a fresh grad, and all his life he was an athlete. So ang resume niya when, let me show ya. Sorry, mag-share screen ulit ako. So when he first wrote his resume, it was like this. Ito ang laman ng resume niya. Nakikita niyo ba? Sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Kita po.
Okay.
Yes
So
po.
the first version of his resume highlighted a lot of his experience as an athlete. But he wanted to apply for positions in the sales and marketing industry. Pero syempre, pag kayo recruiter, ito yung nabasa mo sa resume niya. Ang una ko maisip ay athlete lang yan. Wala yung, hindi niya magagawa kung ano yung kailangan ko. So, because this is what he was highlighting on his resume. So what I did was I actually revised his resume to this one. I did not change anything in terms of like it was the same content, it was just a different format. So ang graduate with 10 years of experience as an athlete looking to pursue a career beyond sports, particularly in strategy, sales, marketing, or business administration. So dito pa lang sa taas, parang okay, in-acknowledge ko na athlete ako, or pwedeng sa inyo, in-acknowledge nyo na fresh graduate kayo. But you also want to say that you want to be able to evolve your role. You want to be able to pursue a career that is outside what your current experience is. And then dito, ang highlight ko, so you still have his education, his work experience, since he didn't have as much work experience yet apart from his internship and his athletic accomplishments. a big bulk of his resume, I placed it, I used his skills and competencies instead. So this is something that you can use also. So, chinek ko, ano ba yung mga job description ng mga ina-applyan niya. And most of them would require communication. So example, ito, sa communication skills. So, what was the proof that he has good communication skills? So excellent verbal communication skills as demonstrated in presentations delivered at the university and during his internship at Asiaphil, where he was tasked to present the history of the company background for the onboarding of new hires. For leadership, dito ko highlight yung ano niya, yung experience niya as a team captain. So led the Ateneo swimming team into championships, things like that. So this is something that you can do also as fresh grad. So you can still use what you've done in college to make it relevant to the workforce even if you don't have experience. So highlight your skills. That's why I say that you need to be able to ano ba yung image na gusto nyong ipakita? Ano ba yung image na gusto nyong ipalabas dun sa mga interviewers nyo when they see your resume? Ayun. Yan, I hope I answered that question and I hope that that helped.
May I call on Mr. Dave Marcaida to kindly present the citation of the certificate.
We understand na marami pa pong questions, ano ma'am, but just like what Ma'am Nicole has promised, we can keep in touch with her through her LinkedIn and the other social media account that she shared earlier. Ma'am Nicole, thank you so much for gracing with us in this very important moment for our students and to those who attended this webinar. Thank you so much. We will be greatly indebted to the word of wisdom that you have shared today. So in behalf of PUP, let me share with you the citation of the certificate. So Polytechnic University of the Philippines Institute of Technology, Office Management Technology Department, Lopez Quezon Branch. This certificate of appreciation is hereby presented to Ms. Nicole Q. Gulioso for her highly esteemed contribution as resource speaker during the webinar, Career Path for Fresh Graduates, How to Make Oneself Market Ready in the New Normal, signed by Ms. Generose D. Villaos, Event Manager, Devi Marvi Marcaida, Event Management and Office Internship Coordinator, and Rufo N. Wesa, our Branch Director and Head of Academic Programs. Once again, Mom, thank you very much for the time that you shared. Why don't we give her a heart emoji again, okay, as our thanks of appreciation to Mom Nicole. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for that.
To formally close this event, may I call on Ms. Judy Ann Bobis, our event associate, to deliver her closing remarks.
Hello, everyone. Once again, good morning to all of our participants who came from different schools and universities. And to our who joined us in today's webinar, on behalf of PUP ITEX Event Management, we are expressing our deepest gratitude. We are also grabbing this opportunity to give thanks to our resource speaker, Ms. Nicole Gulioso, for sharing her expertise and insights in today's webinar. To my team, thank you so much, guys, for all of your efforts and contributions for making this event successful. And last but not the least, to our event consultant and our internship coordinator, Mr. Dave Marcaida, thank you, sir, for all of your help, everlasting support.
ngiti ng karunungan mula sa'yo. Para sa bayan, ang iyong banal diwa, adik ang taglay, PUP aming gabay.